you got to take risks, especially you're building something from the ground up. There's no precedent for what it is that we're doing. I couldn't go compare to another custom suit clothier who was in the licensing space because we're the first one. And so the different buttons that we push are often risk, right? Now, it's a matter of how big is the button that you're going to push. But I truly feel that you asked about coaching and how it equates to coaching. In the spur of the moment, I got to call this play, or I got to adjust what we're doing defensively because this wasn't working. That's a risk because the adjustment may not work, but you got to do it because that's the only way you're going to find out if you're going to win or lose the ball game.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to On Record PR. I'm the executive producer and guest host, Jennifer Simpson Carr. Today, I'm going on record with Carlton Dixon, founder of Reveal Suits. A former student athlete, Carlton has made his life's work inspiring young men and women to achieve their goals, first as a coach, then as an athletic director, and now as the owner of a company that specializes in high-end custom suits and blazers. Welcome, Carlton.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
It's so good to see you today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Couldn't wait to be on here. I've been looking forward to this one, so thank you.
Good. Well, you and I met last year during the Naismith Hall of Fame Class of 2023 announcement.
Oh, yeah.
It was the men's Final Four in Houston, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really inspiring to me to learn about your story, meet your wife, Nikki, and also learn that you were a University of Texas basketball player.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been great to get to know you, and I'm excited to talk to you today, which I think is really great timing because the 2024 class was just announced.
Just announced, yeah. We had a great time with that class. Nothing like meeting your mom, though. She was wonderful, and meeting your family. So we, Nikki and I, we enjoyed meeting you guys as well, and we love Miss Julene, that's for sure.
Well, I know our family loves you as well. And, it was amazing. You treated our family with such respect and grace and, really made us feel like a special part of that occasion. And that means a lot to us. And you had a real incredible impact on our experience throughout the process. So we're grateful to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's just, we want to be more than just the jacket provider, right? We just want to be a part of enhancing the experience, not only for the inductees, but for the families as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. For our listeners who don't know, can you just give them a little glimpse of what Reveal Suits is?
Sure, absolutely. So Reveal Suits right now, we'll be 6 years old this summer. And so still relatively the new kid on the block, but our signature niche is the inner linings that we do. The company was formed based on the collegiate licensing model. And so inside of our suits, we have 90 universities that we have licenses for. So our suits can be the University of Texas collection suit, the Baylor Blazer, the Michigan State suit, right? And so that's the foundation of the business, the college licenses that we have. Now, we've taken that to expand into corporate opportunities, professional sports opportunities. We have a partnership with the PGA of America, so we're doing some things in the golfing world now. It's the creativity of our suits and blazers for men and women that kind of separates us apart from any other clothier. The fortunate thing with the Hall of Fame, what they wanted to do was allow the inductees to be able to tell their story of their journey to the hall inside of their jacket with the lining. And so, you see, teams that the inductee played for, they coached for, your mom with USA Basketball, whatever it was that's part of that journey, we've been fortunate to be able to bring it to life. And so I think that that's what a lot of entities are starting to appreciate about us. It can still remain a nice tailored, suit, blazer on the outside, but it can certainly be very personal on the inside.
I really loved learning about that when we had the chance to go through the process of my mother being fitted for her blazer. And, she ended up with something very simple, which is, I think, beautiful and classic. As you mentioned, USA Basketball, the Olympic rings, but you also had samples there of people who had family pictures or team pictures on the inside. And I just thought that was such a beautiful nod or reflection of kind of their journey and what made them who they were, as an athlete. So how long have you been working with the Naismith Hall of Fame?
So this will be, your mom's class was our third class. And so we're embarking upon our fourth class. And so our initial deal was a 5-year deal. And so this is coming up on year 4 out of 5, but there's no way we're letting each other go. So
that's great.
We'll continue to be the Orange Jacket provider. That you can guarantee.
Awesome. Well, for our listeners, I have dropped a few pictures in the show notes, so take a look at the beautiful jackets. So, Carlton, tell me what inspired you to become an entrepreneur.
Oh, man. Well, I was, I've always been a sports guy, an athlete, a coach, an athletic director. And so I just, I love all things sports. I watch all things sports. And watching NBA drafts, NFL drafts, you see young people, it's the moment that's changing their lives. And, the suit has become a big part of that night, right? The red carpet, what are you wearing? How loud are the colors in some instances, right? And I saw some guys start to do some interesting things on the inside of their suits. Wanted to pay tribute to their families, to their coaches, to their native country if they were from outside of the U.S. And so it was getting pretty creative. And then I saw a couple of guys started paying tribute to their college. And, they were talking about how they wanted to do that, but all they had in their closets were T-shirts and sweats, that represented their college. And so I was like, that's pretty interesting. I got tons of Longhorn polos and T-shirts and caps and sweats, but the one thing that I didn't have that represented Longhorns for me was a suit. And so I wondered, I wonder if this can become not only just a celebratory garment on draft night, but can this actually be a viable product in the market? And so this whole business was formed on a I wonder idea that came to my head one night. And, no fashion experience before, but I was just like, there's got to be a way to bring this to life. There has to be a way to bring this to life. And I want to be the one. That's where the competitive juices kick in, right? I want to be the one to bring this to life. And so off to the races we went. Nikki and I, we were just like, nobody's doing it. Why not us? And, again, had no blueprint for it. But the one thing I did know is that through Google and YouTube and all kind of other stuff, I could at least teach myself, some of the fundamentals of the industry. And so off to the races we went. And man, 6 years later, here we are. It hasn't been easy by any means. And a little bitty pandemic, we had to deal with as well. Almost, I thought I was going to be back on the sidelines coaching, but we stayed the course, and we've had some great support. Our universities believe in us. Our university partners believe in us. And so they were very instrumental in helping us stay afloat throughout the pandemic with their purchases, with their support, their marketing of us, continuing to open doors for us. And so certainly thankful to be come out of the other side of that. That's
fantastic. I love what you said. Nobody's doing it. Why not us?
Why not us? Yeah.
That's such a competitive spirit.
Why not us? Yeah. And I didn't, Jennifer, I didn't want to be, 5-10 years later and like, man, I should have done, man, I wish we would have, right? I didn't want to be saying that. And so once I really saw that nothing like this existed, it was game on at that point.
And what foresight you had, thinking about, so I played in college years and years ago, and you wore sweats to show up to the games.
Exactly.
And in the last 3 years, what professional and college athletes show up to the stadium in has become kind of a competition of its own, right? There's social media platforms dedicated to what athletes are wearing. So kudos to you for that foresight.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was just an interesting blend of sports and fashion that was occurring, right? And I was just like, man, I think this would be perfect for this trend that is happening. And so that's our goal. You talk about where we want to be, in X amount of years. We want to be that company. We want to be that brand that is the brand for sports and upscale fashion.
That's fantastic. So as an athlete with that competitive spirit, can you share with me as a business owner and entrepreneur a time where you may have run into a really difficult challenge, or you may have pushed forward on something and I don't want to say failed, but hit a point where you really had to reflect? What was that time and what did you learn from it?
Oh, I got a quick answer and story for that one. It was probably, we weren't even 6 months into the business. And we had already gotten some pretty good group orders, Florida State football and Baylor football, right? And so, we were just like, man, we're on a roll. And we got interest from a women's club at LSU. And it was about 50 young ladies, all in athletics. And we were just like, man, this is great. We'll have a nice sized women's group to showcase our women's suits. And man, we're about to be, no looking back. And what I didn't, you talk about pressing forward. So I pressed forward, not even taking into account that the women's patterns are different. The women's, the curvatures are different. I just thought measurements are measurements, right? So we're going to go down, we're going to measure, and I'm going to get it to my production team. And yes, these are lady suits, but you make great men's suits. So just make the suits like you normally make them. And Jennifer, when those suits came back about 4 to 6 weeks later, we took them down there. Oh, it was a disaster. They were big, they were boxy, it was not pretty. And I took that moment, I had to take it on the chin, right? Took that moment to say, okay, you got a little ahead of yourself. And you did not, as you are learning the industry, I didn't even pause because I was just so go, 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 go. I didn't even pause to realize that it's a totally different pattern making scheme when you're talking about lady suits. And so I was just like, if you are going to be in this industry, then you need to slow down. This isn't, I learned how to play basketball, and so let me go run up and down the court. No, you're talking about building a brand. You're talking about customer service. You're talking about high-end fashion. Dude, you need to slow down and make sure you got all your ducks in a row. And so that was very humbling moment for me. You can say failure at that time, but it was the failure that I was going to learn from. And I was determined to learn from, and not ever, I equate it to basketball, right? You're going to have some major turnovers throughout a game, but that was one turnover that I was not going to commit again. And so I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it happened early, but I'm glad it happened because it just said, hey, slow down and let's make sure we do everything properly and in order. So
yeah,
grateful for the moment.
And we all need those moments in life to make sure that we can push ahead and be the best and have that customer service and customer experience. So thanks for sharing that. Carlton, we're going to pause here for just a minute to hear a message from our sponsor. And then when we get back, we'll talk more about your business.
Awesome.
This episode is brought to you by Furia Ruble Communications, a public relations and marketing agency serving law firms and businesses internationally. With an expert team of professionals positioned throughout the U.S. and supported by international affiliates, Furia Ruble enhances its clients' brands through integrated communications by providing expert guidance in crisis management and high-profile litigation, protecting brand and reputation, and supporting internal marketing teams with media relations, media and crisis training, and client and talent acquisition and retention. To learn more, visit furiaruble.com.
All right, Carlton, we're back from our message. I'd love to know what's your approach to risk-taking in business, and how does your background as an athlete, coach, athletic director, how does it play into that?
Great question. You got to take risks, especially you're building something from the ground up. There's no precedent for what it is that we're doing. I couldn't go compare to another custom suit clothier who was in the licensing space because we're the first one. And so the different buttons that we push are often risk, right? Now, it's a matter of how big is the button that you're going to push. But I truly feel that you asked about coaching and how it equates to coaching. In the spur of the moment, I got to call this play, or I got to adjust what we're doing defensively because this wasn't working. That's a risk because the adjustment may not work, but you got to do it because that's the only way you're going to find out if you're going to win or lose the ball game. same here. It's the only way we're going to find out if our product works in a certain market, if our product, if this women's feature works on this particular suit, or was it a bust, right? Do we need to reevaluate it? You have to take the risk. You have to, if there's a partnership that you want to invest in because you know it's going to pay off, you feel that it's going to pay off. I've had instances in which I felt, yes, I'm the founder and CEO, but I have a team, I have a board, right? And there's been a couple of partnerships that I've been the only one to say, no, we have to invest in this one because it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off. And, just had to play my CEO card and, trump everybody who didn't believe it. But, sometimes, and one of those, it didn't work. And I had to be accountable for that one as well. And so you just have to take the risk. And you have to believe in your product. You have to believe in your team enough to know that we have the ingredients to make it pay off. And so that's my approach.
I love that. It's always fun to work with and talk to former athletes. We're never really former athletes, right? We still have it in us.
Always athletes.
But the analogies to teamwork and to coaching and leadership, they stay with us through our life.
Yep.
So what's your long-term goal and vision for Reveal Suits?
Jen, I truly believe that we could be the most successful clothier in the history of the industry. And here's why I say it. Number one, we do men and women, which is rare, very rare. But our partnerships and most importantly, our licenses just give us the ability to reach millions and millions of alumni, fans of these colleges, your favorite team, your alma maters. For me, I'm a University of Texas guy. I will always be a university. In 30 years, I'll be a Longhorn. In 50 years, 100 years, of course, I won't be here, but, there will continue to be Longhorns and Tigers and Wildcats and Aggies and Spartans and whatever the case may be. And our licensing rights, our signature features, which is the inner linings, that'll never end. And so we're able to do everything else that a Men's Warehouse, a Brooksburg, who all of these other great entities out there, but our licensing rights, it sets us apart. And so along this journey, if we continue to execute everything properly, in order, take the appropriate risks, right? I just feel that we're in a position to do something that no other suit company has ever done. And it just has in 20 years, I want my niece and nephew running this company. And having it still have the same impact that it's beginning to have now. So I got big plans for Reveal. And, I feel like we're just now lighting the match, even at 6 years old.
If you could rewind time and tell yourself 6 years ago some advice today, what would you tell yourself starting this business?
To try my best to maintain balance. I have failed miserably in that just because I'm so passionate about the business and making it work. I've had, and Nikki's the leader in this when she says, hey, put the phone up, turn the iPad off. Let's go watch a movie. Let's go have some sushi. Let's just take it easy. The email will be there tomorrow, right? And so, I thank her for that continually because you need that reminder. And if I could have prepped myself for that 6 years ago, I certainly would have made that a part of the framework. But hey, that's what happens when it's yours, right? You're responsible for everything that happens, with the brand, to the brand. And so I'm just a million miles a minute at times, but balance is important.
That's great advice. And I think we're lucky in life when we can find teammates for life that help us balance when we need that reminder.
Yep. 100%.
All right, Carlton, a couple of fun questions before we go.
Okay.
What's the favorite inner lining you've done on a jacket?
Paul Gasol, with your mom's class. Paul Gasol, without a doubt. I mean, he gave us pictures of him and his beautiful family, him and his brother, the Spain national team, his jersey retirement. And then he had two pictures of, him. He considers Kobe like a brother, right? He has 2 pictures just of him and Kobe. And that lining, the way it all came together, it was just, even though it was just, random pictures, but the way that lining came together, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. And I let him know personally. I was just like, dude, this is my favorite. I was like, you nailed it on this one. But yeah, I'd say Papa Sauce for sure.
Okay. Most fun event you've attended giving out jackets for a celebratory occasion?
Great question. I think when we go to, and I'll just kind of combine these, when we go back to the colleges, those college football teams, because when we go see them for the fittings, a lot of times this is their first experience with a suit, let alone a custom suit, right? And so when they have the creative design, the creative say in their suit, when those suits come back, I mean, these guys are just, they're taking pictures, they're FaceTiming their moms, they're FaceTiming their girlfriends, right? They literally are ready to play, and that delivery happens in late July, early August. Oh, they're ready to play games that day.
That's great.
There's just so much excitement and confidence in the room. But yeah, when they get to FaceTime their parents and their moms and girlfriends, that takes the cake right there. So we always enjoy that moment.
That's great. All right, last one. Favorite memory playing basketball at University of Texas?
Favorite memory, even though it was in a loss, but my very first game was in the Dean Dome at University of North Carolina. And I was fortunate to get a lot of playing time that game. We ended up losing in overtime, but it was a great game. And my very first shot, I drove to the lane thinking this is it. Game is on CBS. My first point's about to come. And Rasheed Wallace, he swats my ball probably to the fourth row. And I was like, okay, we're here. This is big boy basketball.
That's great.
Yeah, I said this is big boy basketball. Okay, let's do it. Rasheed just sent it to the fourth row. Yeah.
Man. Well, thank you for indulging me in some fun questions at the end there.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And thank you for the great conversation. I've really enjoyed staying connected with you and getting to know you and following your great work. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in today. I encourage you to visit our website, onrecordpr.com, subscribe to the show, share it with your friends and colleagues. And as always, we welcome guest and topic ideas. You can send them to podcast@onrecord.com. Carlton, thank you so much again, and look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you. It was my absolute pleasure. You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
On Record PR is produced by Jennifer Simpson Carr and Matt Henderson, with support from the team at Furia Rubel Communications. This episode is edited by Željko Tomic of Compost Media Flow.